Let's be honest. Do you ever feel like you're just drowning in a sea of emails and meetings? You're constantly busy, but at the end of the day, you don't feel like you've made any real progress. Well, today, we're going to talk about how to break free from that daily grind. We're going to help you become the architect of your own success by cultivating a truly strategic mindset. So let's start with this one. Simple question. Are you busy doing, or are you truly thinking? Seriously, take a moment and look at your typical workday. Is it just a blur of reactive tasks, putting out one fire after another? Or are you actually carving out time for the deep, strategic thinking that's going to shape your future? That distinction, well, that's everything.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have reactive doing. Think of this as being a firefighter, right? You're just constantly battling the next urgent problem that pops up. But on the other side, you have strategic thinking. This is more like being a chess master, seeing the entire board, planning several moves ahead, and actively shaping the outcome of the game. So the choice is yours. Are you going to be the firefighter, or are you going to be the chess master?
So what does it really mean to have an architect's mindset? In this section, we're going to get into what that actually is, and more importantly, how you can make that shift from just doing the work to actively designing your future.
And here's the best part. A strategic mindset is not some gift that only a few people are born with. Not at all. It is a learnable skill. It's all about training your brain to see that bigger picture, to connect the dots that other people miss, so you can stop just reacting to the present and start, creating the future you want.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. This shift isn't about working harder. It's about thinking differently. See, every decision you make is like a move on the chessboard of your career. And the strategic thinker is always asking, okay, what's the long-term impact of this one move on the entire game? Thinking differently sounds great, right? But how do you, actually do it? Well, it all starts with 4 foundational practices. This is the bedrock of strategic thought. So here they are, the 4 pillars. First, you've got to cultivate curiosity. Always be asking, why? Second, you need to understand the whole ecosystem, not just your little corner of it. Third, you have to embrace a long-term view. And finally, you get comfortable with planning for different scenarios. Think of this as your blueprint.
All right, so we have the blueprint. Now it's time to actually build something. In this next part, we're going to walk through 6 really practical habits that will help you bring those 4 pillars to life, turning the theory of strategic thinking into something you do every single day.
First things first, and this one is so important. You cannot think strategically on the fly. It just doesn't work. You absolutely have to carve out dedicated time for deep thinking. This is non-negotiable. And it's really this simple. Open up your calendar right now and block out an hour for strategic thinking. And you have to treat it like it's your most important meeting of the week, because it is. Turn off the notifications, shut the door, and just give yourself the space to think, to reflect, and to connect the dots. You know those big strategic breakthroughs? They almost never happen in a vacuum. They come from connecting ideas that seem totally unrelated. And to do that, you have to break out of your information bubble and feed your brain a really diverse diet of knowledge. Think about it like a healthy diet, right? A healthy mind needs all sorts of different inputs. So get out of your silo. Go talk to people from different departments. Network with folks outside your industry. Consume a huge range of media. This is how you're going to start to see that big picture. Now, to think at a higher level, you have to let go of the lower level work. I mean, you can't be a strategic architect if you're also insisting on laying every single brick yourself. It's time to learn how to delegate. And look, delegation isn't just about getting stuff off your plate. It's a strategic move. It frees up your mental bandwidth for the bigger challenges, and it empowers your team to grow. And hey, if you're an individual contributor, think of AI as your personal assistant. Delegate all those routine tasks and liberate your mind for deeper, more strategic work. It's pretty simple. If you want to become a visionary, you need to immerse yourself in visionary content. You have to become a student of your field, constantly seeking out new ideas, new trends, and new possibilities. The future really does belong to those who prepare for it today. Now, this is such a powerful idea. It's so easy to just stay in our comfort zones, reading things we already agree with. But real growth, that happens when we challenge our own beliefs. So lean into that discomfort. When you read something you disagree with, ask yourself, why don't I agree with this? The answer might just reveal a blind spot and lead to a huge breakthrough. You don't have to figure all this out on your own. One of the absolute fastest ways to become a strategic thinker is to learn from the people who are already great at it.
Find a mentor who can guide you on this journey and really accelerate your growth. Look for someone who just consistently demonstrates that big picture thinking. And don't just ask them for career advice. Dig into their process. Ask things like, how do you approach a really complex problem? Or, what's your framework for making tough decisions? You want to learn how they think, not just what they've done.
Okay, and now we come to the most important habit of them all, strategic thinking. Well, it's not a spectator sport, it's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, it needs to be exercised. You have to put it to work.
Don't wait for an invitation to be strategic. Ask if you can shadow a leader in a strategy meeting. Volunteer for that long-term planning project nobody else wants. Develop your own strategic perspective on something and then share it with your team. This is how you really turn all this theory into practice.
So we've covered the what, the why, and the how of strategic thinking. Now, it's time to talk about your next move. It's time to put all this insight into action.
And if you take away only one thing, let it be this. Strategy is not a one-time event or some big grand plan. It's a daily practice. It's the result of all these small, consistent habits that over time will totally transform the way you think and work. It's about committing to becoming the architect of your own success.
So, I'll leave you with this question. What's your next move? Of the 6 habits we just talked about, which one will you start with this week? How are you going to make time for strategic thinking? What new ideas are you going to explore? The chessboard is set. It's your move.